Mad Mobile, the first ever Sonic game in the entire franchise. In this game, you play as a car ornament thing, bouncing around a car as it... Wait, hold on. You drive the car in this game? This isn't a Sonic game? Okay, wait a minute. Sonic the Hedgehog, the first Sonic game in the entire franchise. And a competent first outing it was. But how competent? By the end of this video, with the help of some live ground coverage courtesy of my Twitch channel, Sonic the Hedgehog will have a completely accurate, objective score out of 100, decided by the only person qualified enough to give such a precise review. Myself. I've been on a real Sonic kick lately. I've been wanting to play more Sonic games, especially live, and I want to, really take a good look at the first Sonic. I want to take a good look at all the Sonic games. I really want to, look at things with a critical eye, you know? Really figure out if I truly do like these games, or if I'm a victim of marketing. Or whatever the fuck, I don't know. I'm trying to think of some buzzwords I can say to get everyone excited. Look, this game has been talked to death. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel with this review or anything, but if any of you feel so inclined as to leap up from your seats and start clapping uproariously and throwing roses at your screens once the review is finished, well, that'd be fine by me. These are the categories I'm rating the game on and how heavily they're weighted out of 100. I'll explain more about each category once I get to them. Anyway, I suck at introductions, so let's just get into the review already. The gameplay, the big one. The category that separates the Mario Karts from the Sonic Drifts of the world. All the controls in this game are solid, as they very well should be, because this game is all about reaction times. Like this. It's just nerve-wracking, because I got the... Oh, there's 2 spikes on these guys now. Sorry, this stream is probably going to be a lot of, knee-jerk reaction yelling. And that's kind of what Sonic was supposed to be. Not the yelling, but the knee-jerk reactions. That was, his initial purpose, I think. At least in my opinion. Going through loops and running so fast the screen can't keep up? Don't zone out, or that spring is going to send you in the complete opposite direction and make you lose all momentum. Oh, come on, bro. Fuck, no, stop making me go back up. Thank you. Sure, it's a little annoying, but it's there to keep you active and engaged. I think as long as the obstacle is fair and visible in time to be dodged, it isn't that bad. Just, sometimes the obstacles aren't very visible. Shield? Excuse me. Thank you. Wow, that was surprisingly easy. These springs are not that janky. Oh. Oh! What the fuck was that shit? What the fuck was that? In this game, every zone has 3 acts, which is a bit of a divisive choice, as staying in one zone for 3 whole acts worth of time can start feeling a bit monotonous by the end. Luckily, for the most part, the acts themselves tend to be pretty short, even some of the final stages lasting less than 2 minutes. One thing I will say about these levels is I've been taking my sweet-ass time. You can get through these levels in, less than 30 seconds. So it's really only in stages like Marble and especially Labyrinth that the 3-act structure starts waning on your patience a little bit. They just insist on taking forever by making Sonic wait around or slow him down to a crawl. Generally, the goal is point A to point B, get to the end of the level. But if you get to the end of the level with 50 or more rings, you get to do a special stage, which gives you the chance to get one of the 6, yes, 6, Chaos Emeralds. Don't worry, we will get to the special stages. I'm trying to go very slowly, though, but I don't want to go back. I don't want to turn back. Let me go. Let me go. Let me back. Let me go. Holy fuck. Oh, no! Oh, my God. God, this sucks. Okay. One really great detail in this game are all the different intersecting paths you could take to get through a stage. The top paths generally require more skill or ingenuity, while the bottom paths could have more hazards, or in some cases, just a plain bottomless pit. What the fuck? Okay. Well, that was a little bit too scary for me. It can be really gratifying to feel like your clever platforming is being rewarded. Okay, and I gotta be I gotta be careful here. I gotta be real fucking careful here. Okay. I think I can go up on this. No, I can't. Oh, wait, yes, I can. I just gotta be very fast. Here we go. Ready for... Oh, my God. Hey. Okay. Can I do it? Can I do it? Yeah, let's go. Waiting, yes, but to take an upper path, to take a secret path, to wait for that, I don't really mind as much, because it's cool. Look at me, I'm on a secret path now. As much as I generally prefer 3D Sonic games, the 2D ones have so many cooler paths to take. So much more interesting stuff to do.
Like, this is cool. I feel like this feels like a fucking dev exit. Like, if you're playing a Mario Maker stage and there's, like, the hidden block that, like, just takes you to the end. That's what I feel like I'm taking right now. And it's awesome. It's rewarding. I can't jump on that guy because he has spikes on his head.
Certain levels like Labyrinth Zone really suffer from a lack of splitting paths. Labyrinth Zone's inclusion as a whole is a bit of a baffling choice when you look at it next to the rest of the game.
This is peak Sonic game design right here. Slow. Stupid, stupid, stupid.
I'll get to the other levels shortly, but a slow, linear, floaty, long stage in the middle of a bunch of otherwise pretty well-designed levels is just a decision I can't wrap my head around.
Hey, so thank you. Like, why it takes so long?
The water physics in this game are just bad, and I can't believe they kept them for future games. At least the future games use it as more of a punishment for bad platforming. I know people try to rope Marble Zone in with Labyrinth as the bad levels, but come on. The marble hate is forced. It's slow sometimes and seems linear, but there are so many skips and solid platforming sections that I feel like the stage is pretty good for the most part. If not, still probably the second weakest in the game, but there is a large margin between the two. To quickly touch on the Robotnik fights, they're fine. They're such a small part of the overall experience. They don't need to be anything special, and they're not. Springyard's fight is probably my favorite, with the ground being removed out from under you making a unique challenge. For least favorite, Starlight and Final Zone come to mind. Starlight's fight I just find completely uninteresting. The seesaw mechanic never really did much for me, so the entire fight being based around it wasn't a very strong choice in my opinion. More good stuff. I'm also impressed that this game managed to give score a purpose, giving you extra lives for every 50,000 points you accumulate. Not even Mario is doing that. Rings as well. Some games don't really put much emphasis on getting rings, but gaining access to special stages at 50 rings or more is a challenging yet fair incentive to collect as many rings as possible. Not to mention the sound design makes them so satisfying to collect. It's subtle, but you know I'm right. Anyway, I suppose I've held off long enough. The worst aspect of the gameplay, in my opinion, the special stages. Sonic is stuck in ball form in a constantly rotating maze that's seemingly coated in sweat from the greasiest Reddit moderators with how Sonic will just slip and slide all over the place.
Okay. I'm nervous! As you can probably tell. Oh my god. Just give me the fucking Chaos Emerald. Just give me the motherfucking Chaos Emerald, you son of a bitch. Just give me the goddamn Chaos Emerald. Oh, just let me in that fucking thing to get the goddamn Chaos Emerald.
These sections were infuriating, as I felt completely out of control for half the time I was in them, and the other half I was clinging to a wall for dear life, in hopes of not being flung into the goal. What kind of sick joke is that? You're not the goal, the Chaos Emerald is the goal! Seriously, every time I jumped, it felt like a game of Russian roulette. All that being said, it is rewarding to actually get a Chaos Emerald, and when the stage doesn't have me fearing for my life, it can be a little enjoyable. With the music and the insane background, these special stages are baffling and have poor controls, but God, if they aren't absolutely fascinating. The last thing I want to quickly bring up before I rate the gameplay is the lack of spin dash. Now, I can't necessarily fault the game for not including it, as it is the first in the series, but I will say there were many sections where the spin dash would have not only been useful, but would have made the overall play experience a lot more enjoyable.
Boy, I wish I could use my spin dash. Okay. And that's actually something. Like, the future Sonic games retroactively made this one worse because of the lack of spin dash.
And yes, I know Origins gives you the spin dash, but I was avoiding it for the sake of an accurate Sonic 1 experience. Even if Origins is like the main way to play the game at this point, I'm a Sonic 1 purist. Overall, the gameplay, especially for the first game in the entire series, was extremely competent and impressive. There are, of course, a few setbacks, but the worst of this game being what is effectively an optional side quest isn't a bad problem to have. I'm giving the gameplay a 20 out of 25. There's nothing I can say about this game's intro that hasn't already been said a million times. This game opening with Green Hill Zone is iconic and deserves to be so.
Like, there's not really much I can critique in this first level. Like, who could? This is Green Hill Zone. Everyone likes Green Hill Zone. That's why it's in every other Sonic game.
The controls are well communicated. It's fast. It's bright. No matter what path you take, you feel like you've made the right choice. Platforming is forgiving. Just, in general, Green Hill delivers a first impression that's persisted for decades, and for good reason. The first Eggman fight is also iconic in its own right. It's simple, but effective enough.
Shit's getting real now. Like, I'm sorry, these bosses ain't shit. Most of them, at least. I'm fine. Like, this is a pretty iconic first boss at this point. They even remade it in Sonic Forces, the best Sonic game of all time. But, I mean, really just going back and forth here.
Anybody playing Sonic the Hedgehog for the first time would blast through Green Hill Zone and immediately hit a snag with Marble Zone.
Alright, so okay, so this is where everyone always says, this is where the game gets bad, or whatever. And honestly, like, right off the bat, I'm going to say I disagree, but I also will say I understand, but this shit's peak. This shit's pretty fun.
I'm not saying that struggling with Marble Zone is a skill issue, because it's actually a pacing issue. As I said earlier, I don't think this stage is all that bad, but it is way too difficult for the second zone. Like, even the follow-up zone, Spring Yard, is easier than Marble. The first section above ground isn't too bad, some fun platforming that's rewarding to speed through, but then immediately upon going underground, we come across the biggest killer in any Sonic game, far worse than just moving slowly. Waiting. It's not so bad here. In fact, teaching the player about the crushing mechanic like this is a good way of going about it, even if getting crushed can be extremely annoying at times and doesn't always feel, well, fair. But this stage can be bad for waiting. We'll get to that later though, as Act 1 isn't so bad, just, as I said, very difficult compared to Green Hill. And it only gets worse. Act 2 drops the ball even farther, with these blocks you just wait on as you float over lava.
Like, if nothing is happening here, this just, it sucks to say because this is a fine level otherwise. They could cut this section. There's no challenge here. They could cut this section. They should cut this section.
This is some bad design and some awful pacing. Act 2 can get really boring, and if you try to rush through the waiting and the boring stuff, you'll likely get punished. Act 3 is crazy to me. It's a genuine gauntlet. Throwing a ton of obstacles, very difficult and punishing platforming, waiting, but also some fun skips that are cool to find.
You just keep going through here, and then you end up out here. Hey guys, what the fuck? Okay, anyway. Oh my god! Gotta fucking jump over the penetration station! God! Penetration everywhere I turn. Anyway, this part's unavoidable, but also a great challenge. Like, for a second level, like, I don't think this game gets as hard as that section I just got through until... wow. Until way later. So I don't really see why they put that part in fucking level 2, but it's a fun section, and, like, on replays it can be fun. But as a first-time player getting through that, you'd want to kill yourself.
Can't really defend the waiting, but the stage is actually fun for the most part. But still a crazy choice for this part of the game. The boss may seem a little daunting at first, but once you get a rhythm going, it's probably the easiest in the game, and it's pretty satisfying. Spring Yard Zone feels almost like a reward for getting through Marble. It's not as challenging, but it's also not a cakewalk. The transition from Marble to Spring Yard isn't nearly as jarring. I think this is a pretty fun zone. Call me a masochist, but I find the bumpers pretty fun in this stage. These platforms that move up and down are a wonderful example of both waiting and unfair crushing, also known as bad pacing. That being said, there are a lot of fun speed sections, and overall I think the stage is pretty good. It has my favorite Robotnik fight too, which is cool. Labyrinth Zone.
So Labyrinth is the zone that people look at. This, like, they say Marble Zone is where the game starts getting bad, but then they say that this is, like, the bad zone. And you know what? Yeah. I'm not even gonna start with my Sonic 1 isn't that bad, because this is not a fun level.
There's no saving things here. This is a bad level. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, take your pick. This is the longest zone in the game, and it shows. Terrible water physics aside, this act is full of waiting, which can be especially annoying when actively drowning. This stage absolutely murders the pacing. You spend practically the entire stage underwater, crawling through linear hallways at a snail's pace and jumping around with moon physics. It just feels clunky. The one thing I'll give this entire level is the boss fight. I sort of like Labyrinth's boss, in a sadistic way. Even though it's extremely difficult, nerve-wracking, and kind of unfair, I like how tense it can get. Racing against the water and trying to avoid those weird pig head things that shoot the... whatever.
Anyway, this was the part that stumped me for years as a child. I was playing on the DS Classic Collection version, which is probably why it was so difficult for me, but this is like... Like, if I die here, I don't get any more rings, and all I get is the shield. So let's say I only had the shield there. I have no rings, and I still have so much more left to do here. Like, this isn't good. Fuck. So, as I said... Oh, God. Oh, my dear Lord. Okay, just be patient. Be patient. Be patient. Oh, Jesus Christ! Eggman, you motherfucker!
Really, overall, this zone is just a huge brick wall right in the middle of the game. As with Spring Yard, Starlight feels like a reward for toughing out Labyrinth, and it's a great reward. Starlight takes the cake for my favorite zone in the game. Other than the seesaws in Act 2 and 3, I'm a fan of pretty much everything this level has to offer. Fun secrets, cool splitting paths, great speed, interesting obstacles and enemies. The pacing within the stage itself is great. But this level, compared to Labyrinth, Marble, hell, even Spring Yard, is easy. Great reward for beating Labyrinth, yes. But as the penultimate challenge before the big final level, not the strongest choice.
This is just fun! I keep saying it, but there's nothing more to say, With Labyrinth, I could be like, oh, and this part sucks because this, and this part sucks because this. But no, there's no waiting. This is what makes a good Sonic level. But I just feel it's so late into the game that, after Labyrinth Zone, you're so fucking fatigued, you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't fun. But no, you gotta give it a chance. Although, if there is one thing I will deduct points for this boss, is this boss fight. This boss fight sucks ass.
Scrap Brain Acts 1 and 2 are good. Act 3 sucks, but we'll talk about the good ones. Act 1 is the first level, other than maybe Spring Yard, where falling off the map to your death is a genuine threat. And I like it. The obstacles in Scrap Brain are definitely the hardest we've seen so far. The platforming is precise, hazards are everywhere, and the challenge is fitting for the game's finale.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! See, what am I saying about these knee-jerk reactions? This game is like ADHD's fucking wet dream.
Unfair is a word that's been tossed around in discussion of this stage, but I've got to disagree. This is the final test of skill in a 90s game. It's well-paced and excellent for a final challenge. Considering the fact that it's actually a challenge.
What the fuck? Oh, that's nice. Thanks, game. What the fuck? Sure, I'll take it.
After the first two acts, the expectation is for all the mechanics introduced in the zone to build and develop into a great final challenge. Right? Nope. Scrap Brain Zone Act 3. Better known as Labyrinth Zone Act 4.
Luckily they had a bit of sense to them, so you can actually skip a lot of the level here if you just go down here. I'll try that again. Because I don't care how many times I have to die. I'm not playing this level normally. I will never, ever play this level normally. If you go down here, you skip like half the level. Which is... One thing I like is it's a cool skip. And also, this is a bad level. And it lets you skip a lot of a bad level. That's cool. I like that. It's very nice. But unfortunately, it doesn't fix the fact that this is a bad level.
This is seriously unbelievable. Scrap Brain Acts 1 and 2 showed a lot of potential. I guess the story implication is that Eggman built his great big facility over some historical ruins, but God, who cares? It's just another fucking Labyrinth Zone! I like these swinging spike ball obstacles in theory, but once again, those damn water physics, man, ruining my Sonic game. Anyway, you take the big line of red springs up to the final zone, the big climax, the moment this entire experience has been building up to.
Actually, it was made in the 90s, but what I'm saying is, okay, look, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 came out a year after this game. And it had... The final level was Silver Sonic into the Death Egg robot. That was a year later, and it was so much better. Like, leagues better than this. I'm not saying this is that bad. This is okay. It's just not... It's not that good either. Like, they could have done better. Like this, it's long. Like, this should have been like the Scrap Brain boss fight, and then there was a final zone that had a different boss fight, you know? Okay, this is difficult. How am I supposed to avoid this? Oh my god! The song is peak, though. This might be my favorite Sonic song in the first... This might be my favorite Sonic 1 song, just because it's, like, it's very epic. I like how epic it feels. Oh my god! Hey, Eggman. There we go! And that's the final zone. Ha! You thought you could fucking get away, stupid? That's how it's done. That's how it's done, gamers. That was... kind of boring. It's not the worst thing in the world, but as the final challenge? I don't know. Definitely not the strongest choice to end things off on. Then after that, there's a nice little cutscene where Sonic runs back through Green Hill and jumps at the camera. Nice. As much as I hate to say it, a lot of the pacing in this game, especially from zone to zone, is poor. Green Hill is great, Marble is jarring, Springyard is good, Labyrinth is an atomic bomb, Starlight is awesome but too easy for this far in the game, Scrap Brain is good until you realize it was a Trojan horse for another Labyrinth zone, and Final Zone caps it off completely underwhelmingly. And the pacing within the levels isn't too bad. Not great, still a lot of standing around, but not bad. Overall though, I'll have to give the pacing a 9 out of 20. I won't spend too much time discussing the story because there's not really that much story to discuss. And no, I'm not counting the opening and closing cutscenes that Sonic Origins added, and I'm not counting any instruction manual or really any external media expansions of the story. I am only considering the story that exists within the confines of the game itself, which is a good thing, because this game's plot is incredibly simple. And that's all it needs to be. This is not in the original Sonic 1. What the fuck is this? Why am I being forced to watch this right now? This is stupid. I want my money back. Okay, so none of this matters for the point of my review. You are a hedgehog trying to save animals and the environment as a whole from a fat scientist who wants to take over the world with robots. Awesome. That's the story I get from this game, and that's all the story this game really requires. There's also some good environmental storytelling, with the last levels, especially Scrap Brain, taking a dark and mechanical turn. And as I said earlier, I think Act 3 of Scrap Brain suggests the idea of Robotnik building over top of some ancient structure. That's cool! I like this story! The Chaos Emeralds aren't really explained more than they might make flowers grow if you get 6 of them. But you get why they're important when you look at the other games in the series. 8 out of 10. Come on. It's a Sonic game. There are obviously gonna be bangers. If I were to rank the main tracks offhandedly from worst to best, Labyrinth, Springyard, Special Stage, Boss Theme, Starlight, Final, Green Hill, Marble, Scrap Brain. The worst this game's music has to offer is just kind of boring, not even what I'd really call bad. Okay. God, just let me out. I hate the song, too. This song is getting hard to listen to. Just everything about this experience is getting a little grating for me. Even Sonic, he's starting to, like, fight. He has to hold his head down. He's like, make it stop. Make it fucking stop. Holy, whoa. Hey. Sorry, that was a panic spin dash. Thing is, most of the best songs in the soundtrack aren't much better than being pretty good. Green Hill's theme is obviously iconic, albeit relatively short. Marble and especially Scrap Brain have a really nice tone. There's just not a lot of memorability for the majority of these tracks, other than Green Hill. They're good, but the series can do much better. 7 out of 10.
This game deserves massive props for the way it handles its two leads. The establishment of who Sonic and Robotnik are is incredibly impressive, especially on the hardware they originally appeared on. Sonic's attitude and expressiveness are expertly demonstrated without a hint of dialogue. I think that's something these old games always benefited from. With such a little number of pixels to work with, they had to make every different frame of animation count. And they did! Quick word on Robotnik, his expressions are great. Whether he's laughing or scowling, you get what this guy's all about. It's extremely well done. Characterization as a whole is great, especially for the franchise's first attempt. Like with the story, it's simple, but it doesn't really need much more than what it has. If there's one critique I could give, there's just a lack of characters. I'm not gonna bash the game for this too hard, but, well, Mario had his Luigi, Sonic needed his Tails. Overall though, I've gotta give the characterization a 9 out of 10.
Is it aesthetic or it's aesthetic? Aesthetic, that's how you say it. That's how I say it. I don't care how you say it. I say aesthetic, and if you blame me for saying it like that...
This game looks really good. For the most part, at least. Green Hill's aesthetics are so strong they've persisted for decades. This game's backgrounds, of course, look lovely. Marble's got some nice colors, Spring Yard is a little dull, and I really like the way Scrap Brain looks, especially Act 1, seeing all the industrialization in the background. I can't say I love the colors in Labyrinth and Starlight. Starlight's got a nice background, but I just don't think this particular shade of green was a good fit. Labyrinth looks nice, but its color palette is gross, especially underwater. It looks much better in black and white. Speaking of Scrap Brain Act 3, I don't know why, but I've always really enjoyed the way the bright red springs contrast the monochrome background. It's just always stuck out to me, and I haven't heard anyone else mention it. I'll also give a nod to the special stages. I know they look fucking nuts, and I love it! The constantly changing backgrounds and the bright disorienting colors are lovely. The acid trip comparisons are tired, but accurate. Anyway, I won't waste too much more time here. The aesthetics are pretty good. 7 out of 10. Is this game glitchy? That's the question here. And the answer? No. If you go out of your way, you can easily find many, many glitches. But that's the thing. You kinda gotta know what you're looking for. Now, the original release of the game had the spike glitch, where none of the spikes in the game had invincibility frames, so if you fall into a spike pit, you're pretty much dead no matter what. That's it though. Unfortunately, the one notable glitch in this game just so happens to be relatively substantial, but still, I'll give functionality a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, we're going for 100%. That's what we're doing. I may not get it because... Okay, so... No, my god! See, that's why I might not get it.
We're in the home stretch now. I've already covered the special stages and how I generally dislike them, so I won't harp on that. But there, cool. Get the 6 Chaos Emeralds and you've completed the game. What's your reward for completion? The flowers in the final cutscene are fully bloomed and Robotnik's angry with you. That's it. That's all the rewards you get. It's... fine. It's something at least, but the process of getting there just isn't worth the trouble.
No, 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 no. I just want in. I just want in! This...
As an old game with no save functionality, it's at a pretty stark disadvantage here. It's not like you get anything on a save file like a star to indicate you've done it, you just get a slightly different ending. Between the unfun minigame and the underwhelming reward, I can't give completion anything higher than a 1 out of 5. And finally, would I ever come back to this game in the future? Yeah! It's quick, snappy, and always a pretty good time. I can't give it a perfect score because I couldn't see myself sinking hours and hours into this game after giving it a quick run-through, but that's it. It's very good to run through, and I definitely will be doing so again at some point in the future. 4 out of 5. Finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. Out of 100, Sonic the Hedgehog for the Sega Genesis gets a... 69! I promise that was not planned. This is a pretty good game. Of course, it does have its flaws, but for a first outing, it set a brilliant foundation for what's to come. The way the game feels to play is fun and rewarding at its core. The biggest flaws here are the level order, some questionable design choices and mechanics, and those damned special stages. On the other hand, Sonic is fun to control, the majority of the level design is solid, and most of the levels look or at least sound wonderful. I hope you're all as excited as me to see where this game ends up on my overall ranking as I continue this review series in the future. But I will leave you with all the clips from the stream that I couldn't find a place for in the video but still wanted to include. Bye.
Okay, I see what you're doing here. Oh, what the fuck, dude? You're not leaving my sight, Chaos Emerald. Oh, please. Oh, my God. Second Chaos Emerald, baby. And that's how it's done. Okay, I think there's another secret down here. No, there's not. Okay, you guys can fuck off. There's a secret down here? Yes. Okay, there's a secret in this one. Here we go. See, another fucking dev exit. See what I mean? It's very rewarding.
Let me in, let me get you, please, please, please. What the fuck? What the fuck?
And that's how you do it, baby. That's how it's done. Yay, the third Chaos Emerald. I hate those drill guys. I remember when I was younger and I'd play this game, those fucking drill guys, they'd always screw me up. These guys here. Because they'd come out of the ground, they'd scare the fuck out of me. Like that, I didn't even see him. I didn't even see him. If I were going any faster, I'd have been screwed there. Oh, game faces. I can get the last Chaos Emeralds during Scrap Brain potentially, but the way I see it, this is really my last chance. So wish me luck. Okay, we're staying here for a moment. We're taking it real slow, real fucking slow, and we're going this way. Oh, oh my God, that's it. That's the Chaos Emerald. So easy, so simple, so elegant, so eloquent. So simple. So beautiful. That's it. That's all the goddamn Chaos Emeralds. Sonic got them all. That's what they say. Sonic got them all, baby. Was it worth it, Cill? That's a good question. This is a nice ending, I gotta say. I quite like this. It like takes you back through all the zones, all the motifs of all the zones. It's a nice ending. Getting the Chaos Emeralds was pretty nerve-wracking and pretty, honestly, shit. I didn't enjoy that very much. But it was good. It was an overall good experience. I love this song. This is a very nice wrap-up to things. I will say 100% was not worth it, which is fine, but this is good. This was fun. And see, look how mad Eggman is at that end sign. He's like, I don't want it to end yet. An hour and 20 minutes. What the fuck is this? What a short game. God damn it.